Hello students. Now the decrease in vapor pressure of solvent depends on the quantity of non-volatile solute present in the solution, irrespective of its nature. Means whenever we dissolve a non-volatile solute in a volatile solvent, then there is a decrease in the vapor pressure of the solution. Now this decrease in the vapor pressure of the solution is due to the decrease in the number of solvent molecules going into the vapor phase. So this decrease in vapor pressure of the solvent depends upon the quantity of non-volatile solute present in the solution, and it does not depend upon its nature. It does not depend upon the nature of the solute. For example, if we take 1 kg of water and we dissolve 1 mole of sucrose to 1 kg of water, and in another container if we dissolve 1 mole of urea in 1 kg of water, keeping the temperature same, then the decrease in vapor pressure in both of these solutions is nearly the same. So whether the solute is urea or solute is sucrose, the decrease in vapor pressure of the solvent will not depend upon the nature of the solute. It depends upon the quantity of solute dissolved in the solvent. So if same number of moles of solute is dissolved in same quantity of water at the same temperature, then the decrease in the vapor pressure is nearly the same. Now according to the Raoult's law, for any solution the partial pressure of each volatile component in the solution is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Now in binary solutions, let the solvent be denoted by 1 and solute denoted by 2, and the solute is non-volatile, then only solvent molecules are present in the vapor phase and contribute to the vapor pressure. Now let P1 be the vapor pressure of the solvent, X1 be its mole fraction, and P1 naught be its vapor pressure in the pure state. Then according to Raoult's law, we know that partial pressure of the volatile component is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. Now this can also be written as P1 is equal to X1 into P naught 1. Now this proportionality constant is equal to the vapor pressure of the pure component. Now a plot between the vapor pressure and the mole fraction of the solvent. Here why are we taking the mole fraction of the solvent? Because this is a binary solution and the solute is non-volatile. Only the solvent is volatile, because of which only solvent will exert the vapor pressure. So when we are taking the plot of vapor pressure, we will take it against the mole fraction of the solvent. Now a plot of vapor pressure and the mole fraction of the solvent is linear. Now in this expression of Raoult's law, P1 denotes the partial pressure exerted by the solvent, X1 denotes its mole fraction in the solution, and P01 denotes its vapor pressure in the pure state. Now next, ideal and non-ideal solutions. Now liquid-liquid solutions can be classified into ideal and non-ideal solutions on the basis of Raoult's law. Now solutions which obey Raoult's law over entire range of concentration are known as ideal solutions, and there are two more important properties of ideal solution. Their enthalpy of mixing is zero, means when the solution is formed, no heat exchange takes place. So enthalpy of mixing is zero, and volume of mixing is also zero, means when these two liquids are mixed, then the total volume of the solution will be the sum of the volume of the individual components. So for ideal solutions we have three important points. First one is ideal solutions obey the Raoult's law over entire range of concentration. Second, for ideal solutions the enthalpy of mixing of the pure components to form the solution is zero, and the volume of mixing is also zero. So enthalpy of mixing is zero means no heat is absorbed or evolved when the components are mixed, and volume of mixing is zero means the volume of solution would be equal to the sum of volumes of the two components. Now at molecular level, ideal behavior of the solutions can be explained by considering two components A and B. When we take pure A, then there are only interactions between the molecules of A. So the interactions are of the type AA. And when we take pure B, then there are intermolecular interactions between the molecules of B, and we call it BB type interaction. But when we take solution, then in a solution of A and B, we have three types of interactions. One is the interaction between the molecules of A, second type of interaction is between the molecules of B, and third type of interaction is between the molecules of A and B. So in pure A, the interactions are only between the molecules of A. In pure B, the interactions are only between the molecules of B. And in a solution of A and B, there are three types of interaction. One is between the molecules of A, second one is between the molecules of B, and the third kind of interaction is between the molecules of A and B. Now, if the intermolecular attractive forces between the molecules of A and molecules of B are nearly equal to those between AB, then it will lead to the formation of ideal solution. If the intermolecular attractive forces between AA and BB are nearly equal to those between AB, this leads to the formation of ideal solution. Now, a perfectly ideal solution is rare, but some solutions are nearly ideal in behavior. Example of such solutions are solution of N-hexane and N-heptane, solution of bromoethane and chloroethane, solution of benzene and toluene, etc. fall into this category.